and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we are building for the lemurs, and somebody on my stream actually mentioned that they thought I sounded like another YouTuber named Sinful Panda, and I went and checked out her videos. I kind of heard it for a second there, and then now she's a completely separate person to me. Like, she's become a person. I've binge watched a bunch of her videos. And actually, I thought I would take a page out of her book and I would read you some of the ring-tailed lemur Zoopedia entry. Zoopedia, is that what it's called? From the game. So just tell you a little bit about the lemurs, and I actually did a little bit of my own research as well. So for starters, this surprised me a lot. There are only an estimated population of 2,000 lemurs, or ring-tailed lemurs specifically, in the wild, because there are other species. Which, that's so crazy to me, because they're so common in zoos. Literally, they're like the, I don't know, 14th or 15th most common animal that's on the list that I'm following. So they're very common in zoos, but no, they're endangered in the wild. So the Zoopedia mentions that, like all the other lemur species, they are native to Madagascar, so I didn't know that either. I thought they would be found elsewhere in the world, but they are not. And they have a pointed muzzle, cat-like ears, and a long tail. And this is interesting. It always has 12 or 13 white rings and 13 or 14 black rings, and the tip is always black. So the tail is usually 22 to 25 inches long, and their body itself is usually between 15 and 18 inches in size. They live in these groups called troops. So they're the lemur troopers, or the stripe troopers maybe, instead of the stormtroopers. I don't know. Hopefully I don't get copyright struck for that one. And these troops will travel and forage together. Ring-tailed lemurs are omnivores, and they will eat fruit, leaves, insects, and most other foods that they can find. Why do I keep trying to say ring-tailed lemurs are endangered, as I said, and this is primarily due to deforestation, mining, and the creation of farmland, which destroys their habitat. They're also hunted for bushmeat, which that surprised me too. They're so tiny, like they're such little creatures. And unfortunately also captured for the illegal pet trade. Madagascar can have harsh weather conditions and extended periods of drought that can kill large numbers of the population. There is a special reserve called Biza Malefi? Biza Mahafali, I think. This is like French, but also their dialect there. So I'm not really sure. I like looked up some YouTube videos of people saying it, and one person was speaking French when they pronounced it, so it's probably colored by that. And that has been created to protect the lemur population and to educate the local community on conservation. Apparently, you can go and camp there. This is what I found out when I researched it. And this reserve promotes ecotourism and takes part in drought intervention by introducing water sources during periods of harsh weather. And there are actually a few YouTube videos out there that you can see where there's just lemurs around little well stations, I guess, where they're getting some water. So that's great. I am going back to the build here, or I guess now I'm like looking at the Zoopedia information, but the habitat is basically finished, obviously just a hexagon, and all I wanted to do is pretty much make a really tall glass wall because I wanted the guests to be able to see the lemurs really well, but obviously I don't want the lemurs to be able to get out, so I had to untoggle the climbability there on all these pieces, and that will come back to bite me later on, because now again, I want to incorporate the hexagon because this is the Hexagon Zoo. So I want to build some hexagon adjacent climbing frames. So I just built this little, half sunk into the ground one. That was like my first idea because I didn't want to make just a parallel to the ground hexagon, because I felt like people weren't going to be able to see very well that it was supposed to be a hexagon, and this is more definite that this is like half of a hexagon sunk into the ground. But then later I realized that I can put a hexagon that is parallel with the ground, because people will be able to see it from the fact that it throws a shadow. So here I am now building that hexagon. And I also like took one of the climbing frames that just comes with the game, just to make it a little bit easier for myself. But yeah, the lemur's social needs are 30 individuals, so they can have up to 30 individuals in a group or a troop, as we know. The females will be interrelated, so usually all the females are related to each other, and the males migrate from their family group when they reach adulthood. So we had, spoiler alert, we had a baby boy born in the lemur troop. So unfortunately, he will have to be donated. Is that what you do? Or like sold for conservation credits? However we figure that out when he becomes an adult. But for now, we have a baby lemur, and one of the people in chat said I needed to name the male lemur King Julian, so I did, just to be funny. From Madagascar, if you weren't wondering why that is funny to me. Yeah, so here I'm building a little platform. I really wanted to be able to have a platform above where the guests are walking. I know that they don't look up in Planet Zoo, but I just thought it'd be really funny if the lemurs could just sit on top of the guests basically right there and look down on them, and I was going to put an enrichment item there, and maybe the guests would have looked there. I don't know. But I could not figure that out because the fence didn't like it. It thought that the lemurs could escape. Even when I pulled it all the way out into the path. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. But like you can see, I'm framing it out here. The game just thinks that they can escape somehow by walking, I guess. I'm not sure, but they would have been fine. They would not have escaped. The only thing that I can think of is, oh, there's an alpaca that just gave birth in a pond, so that's great. But the only thing that I can think of is if they got boxed up, like while they're climbing, occasionally they will get boxed up because the game glitches out. The box might have fallen on the ground outside the exhibit and then opened on the ground right there next to the guests, and then obviously the lemur would have been free. So that would not have been ideal. Just got a notification there that my goat had matured, and I had to get rid of that. And then now I'm decorating the habitat with some foliage. Obviously they need a lot more foliage. They can't just be in the barren, desert land that I created there. They live in Madagascar, which has a lot of trees when it's not, being deforested for mining or farmland. So obviously I wanted to give them a lot of trees. I did not, in fact, give them as many trees as I should have. But I kind of wasn't thinking at the time about how they kind of live in a forested environment, and obviously they're climbing animals, so they want to climb into the trees. Nature does not give them climbing frames, so I will probably go back in and put more trees in there next time. But for now, I'm pretty happy with how the habitat turned out. The lemurs are super cute. You should go check out Sinful Panda and search up that Madagascar reserve if you're interested in that. And next time, we're going to build for either the tortoises or the donkeys. I'm not sure yet. And we need to build another amenities hexagon station for the guests. So, because I want them to be kind of spread out, but I think we're far enough along now, and we need more power, more solar, more water filter stations, all that good stuff, and staff buildings. So we're gonna build either for the tortoises or the donkey. Vote below if you have an opinion, and probably make an amenities hexagon and another staff building area. Okay, so that's pretty much the plan. Like, comment, subscribe if you liked the video. If you want to follow along the channel and the Hexagon Zoo in general, you just kind of got a little bit of a preview there of what the rest of the zoo looks like. I guess at some point I'll have to film a tour. But that is it for now. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one if you want to stick around. Thank you for watching. Bye.